recent years, merge and acquisition (M&A) has been a rising trend in Vietnam banking industry. In 2015, Vietnam National Bank implemented a strategy named Zero Dawn to purchase 3 banks: Ocean Bank, Instruction Bank, and GP Bank. This year, 2018, VP Bank is planning to raise the charter capital 27,000 billion Vietnam dong, nearly double the current 15,000 billion Vietnam dong, to prepare for its M&A strategies. So, what is M&A in banking industry? Why M&A transactions? What are opportunities and challenges for the chain in Vietnam? This video will provide an overview of this problem. Merge and acquisitions (M&A) is a general term that refers to the consolidation of companies or assets. M&A can include a number of different transactions, such as mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, tender offers, purchase of assets, and management acquisitions. This definition is also true in case of banks M&A. According to some research, banks usually have several characteristics that lead them to be a focus in M&A transactions. First, their distribution and transactions infrastructures, such as branch networks and IT platforms, are costly. Because deposits are the cheapest source of operating capital, banks with access to large deposit volumes enjoy significant cost advantages. Also, when 2 banks merge, the combined bank can utilize these resources more efficiently by channeling capital from the lower capital cost market to the market with greater profit opportunities. Moreover, they need restructuring due to effects of overcapacity. These effects include redundant capital and human personnel, and are brought on by protection and distortion of traditional commercial banking activities. In Vietnam, by Resolution number 42 about dealing with bad debts, government now strongly promotes a restructuring process in banking industry. Thirdly, banks need M&A to expand their business in case markets are in the situation of slow growing phase and huge amount of bad debts. Last but not least, banks already have mature products, so they want to make innovation in financial services. For example, a traditional bank may cooperate with an internet-based commercial banking to be supported in industry in distribution side. In the past, M&A is not popular in Vietnam because it requires huge financial ability. However, recently, there are more and more banks that are able to implement M&A. Also, foreign investors are now paying attention to hold shares in domestic banks in Vietnam. This will allow us to issue more shares and increase capital to M&A. Which is more, the presence of Resolution number 42 is a remarkable support to M&A. Along with the demand for restructuring, financial institutions are now guaranteed in terms of bad debts and collateral assets. Besides all those opportunities, the complexity of M&A process has generated several challenges to making M&A a success and meeting target expectations. The context, scope, and purpose of M&A seems to have changed in recent years. M&A are changing the structure of the banking sector, but are not easy to accomplish successfully. Moreover, banking M&As tend to not show positive outcomes until after a couple of years, and therefore they're considered as long-term investments. Banks leaders and strategists recognize that the strategic fit among merging banks is a critical element in determining the success or failure of an M&A. In another perspective, one part of the M&A strategies might be to reduce the personnel while asking remaining staff to maintain a higher workload. Employees retained after the M&A might perceive these actions as inequitable due to more duties with non-matching compensation. In Vietnam, a specific challenge is that, due to Circular 39 of Vietnam National Bank, commercial banks are not allowed to borrow money to purchase other shares like previous periods. In conclusion, this trend of M&A seems to possess pros and cons, and this trend is predicted to be continued in the foreseeable future. This is a must for Vietnamese banks to do deeper research so that they can make use of this trend to achieve their aims in specific and to develop and sustain the national banking industry in general.